Hello and welcome to Just One More Watch. This is my serious face, you don't see it very often. That's because I don't generally make this type of angry, ranty style content all that often. So when I do, you can be sure that I am angry and I have something that I want to rant about. And today I want to rant about Seiko. No more Seiko reviews on the Just One More Watch channel. That's an asterisk. That means there's a get out clause, and yes, indeed, there is a get out clause. I'll talk about it later on, but I am not happy at all, and something tipped me over the edge last week. No, it wasn't my channel being deleted and then reinstated by YouTube in the space of 24 hours. It was something seemingly more mundane than that. It was an experience I had with one of the relatively new Seiko Sharp Edge GMTs, kindly sent to me on loan for review by Jeff, a viewer over in Perth, Western Australia. Jeff has now sent me 3 different watches. Thank you, Jeff. You are the inspiration for this video today, my friend. I took it out of the box and I had a quick look at it and I thought it looked great. Very, very attractive watch. Perhaps a bit top heavy because the head of the watch is pretty big, and minimal micro adjust. Only 2 holes of micro adjust. Not very great considering the head of the watch was very big. But what a pretty dial, and this one has been getting some great press elsewhere on YouTube. And well it might, there's an argument that it's Grand Seiko on the cheap and there aren't that many Seiko GMTs available. Not that it's particularly cheap, 2,150 Australian dollars. Now that is from the Seiko boutique, though you probably shouldn't buy it from the Seiko boutique. You could probably get that down to closer to 1,500, 20-25% discount if you buy it from an authorized dealer. So I set about taking some of my outdoor macro shots. You know the stuff, lots of gentle zoom ins, gentle zoom outs, time lapses and the like, all highlighting that fabulous looking dial. And then I noticed this. What the actual is that all about Seiko on a watch costing 2,150 Aussie dollars? Now, if you have a look at it again, it's not actually the bezel that is misaligned for once. If you look at that 24, it lines up perfectly with the markings, with the high polish markings on that end link at the upper end. And if you look at the 12, it lines up perfectly with the high polish markings on the end link at the bottom end. I reckon the dial is off. I reckon the dial and the chapter ring, which I assume is attached to the dial, both squinting considerably to the left. That is unacceptable on a watch costing $250. It's certainly unacceptable on a watch costing $2,150, and yet we seem to take it from Seiko. Seiko quality control has become a bit of a joke recently. It's become a bit of a meme. Hey, what do you call a Seiko where everything lines up properly? I don't know. What do you call a Seiko where everything lines up properly? A fake. Except it's not funny. We shouldn't be laughing and we shouldn't be forgiving them as easily as we do. Now, look, you can see what you like here. You can say that I'm Seiko bashing and I've got a bit of a reputation as a Seiko basher because I have called them out for this a number of times before. I'm not the only one calling them out. If you have a look for Seiko quality control on YouTube, you will see a raft of videos from the likes of J. Anthony, Random Rob and Clockbait, all complaining about exactly the same thing that I'm complaining about today. It seems that Seiko, over the last couple of years, as the prices have gone up, the quality control has gone down. And believe me, I know what I'm talking about. Since I started this channel, I have bought no less than 25 Seikos. I'm sure I've missed a few, bought with my own cash, 25 of them. I have borrowed an additional 20 minimum, so that's 50 Seikos over the last 4 years, and I have watched this trend continue. I have watched their quality control get worse and worse over that period as the prices get higher and higher over that period. So what I thought I would do today to prove to you that I'm not a maniac and this is by no means a one-off incident, I worked out that I have had in for review 7 Seiko watches now, all costing more than 1,000 US dollars over the last 9 months. Let's play a little bit of a hit, miss or maybe game. How would you feel if you got one or any of these for yourself? If you had paid good money for these, and I have paid good money for 2 of these myself, myself. Let's go back to last September and start with Sean's SPB 143J1. Now this one in many ways was the beginning of the end as far as I'm concerned with Seiko. Bezel alignment, no chance with this one, and when I got it on the Timegrapher, that 6R35, I just do not rate these 6R movements, came in at minus 16 seconds, minus 20 seconds per day, even straight out of the box. That's not fantastic. What do we think about this one? That's what we think about this one. Moving on to November, when Mr. X and I took the receipt of 2 Willards of our own. Admittedly, they had been ordered before September, before I reviewed Sean's. If I had reviewed Sean's, I probably wouldn't have placed the order myself. Mr. X's first. Mr. X's actually gets a tick. Bezel lined up. Everything was good with that one. Mine, on the other hand, the 141, the braceleted version, the bezel lined up okay, but the movement didn't look all that fantastic when I got it on the Timegrapher. Plenty of snow there that simply shouldn't have been there, and the clasp seemingly was an animate object. It had a mind of its own. It was wobbling all over the place. So that one gets another one of those. Fast forward to April this year, and again a very generous subscriber called Matt loaned me an SPB 185J1, a watch that I fell instantly in love with, partly at least because this example was perfect. Everything lined up anyway, despite some end link rattle, and when you got it on the Timegrapher, the line looked pretty good, but there was evidence of some snow. But being the generous man that I am, I'll give this one a tick. Fast forward a month to May this year, and another generous subscriber, Marty from Queensland, loaned me his SPB 143J1, a watch with a fabulous reputation. And it's a great looking piece, I admit. Again, not cheap, well north of $1,000 US. This one, however, under macro revealed a little bit of grit in the most inconvenient of places, right above the eye of Seiko, almost looking like Seiko had for once crossed their T's and dotted their I's. Not that we wanted them to. The rest of it was okay. The Timegrapher result was fine, so I will give Marty's a pass. It's not getting a tick and it's not getting a cross. It gets a kind of non-committal dash, and we move on. We move on to my own SPB 185. I was so in love with Matt's that I had reviewed in April, I decided to buy one, even though I didn't follow my own advice that I'd given myself back then in April. I'm probably going to go and try and have a look at 1 or 2 of these, hopefully in jeweler shops next week. If I can find one that everything lines up, then maybe, just maybe, I will actually take the plunge and buy one. And as it turns out, I wish I had followed my own advice, but I tried to get a little bit of a deal by ordering overseas, and I ordered it from Kenta at japan-onlinestore.com, a shop that in their terms and conditions state clearly that they check the bezels for alignment. So here we have a big time dealer of these pieces in the home of Seiko, Japan itself, realizing that Seiko's quality control is so bad that they have to check samples before they send them overseas. For whatever reason, I think mine slipped through a crack. They didn't check it because the bezel wasn't aligned at all. Now, Kenta-san has apologized profusely. I'm going to get it taken in and repaired, and he said he would offer me money for that repair. So thank you, Kenta. But we really shouldn't be doing this with a brand as big as Seiko, should we? We shouldn't have to work around them. Why on earth do we continue to do this? So my own watch, unfortunately, gets another cross. And then we're back to where we started with Jeff's Sharp Edge GMT, a watch that is most definitely getting a big dirty cross from me. That should never have left the factory, certainly not at $2,150. So what's the scores on the doors then? 7 watches, 2 ticks, 1 pass and 4 crosses. That isn't even a 50-50. That is absolutely disgraceful. I'm not going to buy a Seiko for more than $1,000 again, not even in the shops, not even at a great price, and I'm not going to review any more Seikos over $1,000 either, because I just cannot sit here and recommend them to you, knowing, as I now know, that their quality control is so hit or miss, more miss than hit as well. Now, I'm not suggesting that Seiko is the only brand that has quality control issues. I've sent Phoebus's back to Phoebus, I've sent Zelos's back to Zelos, but not with anything like the consistency that I have encountered problems with Seiko. If you want to continue buying them, go ahead. I recommend that you get the best deal possible, and I recommend that you buy them in a shop. I am still going to continue to review their more budget focused models though. I still think there's value to be had from Seiko as a brand, but not over $1,000. Like I said, quality control issues at 200 are one thing, at 2,000 they are something quite different, and I just don't have any faith in them as a company anymore. Rant over. Thanks very much for watching. I'll see you all in a future video.